The grand ballroom of their opulent home, a space usually filled with laughter and the clinking of champagne glasses, was suffocatingly silent. Dr. Ethan Caldwell stood beside a magnificent multi-tiered cake, a cruel monument to the lie he was about to expose. He tapped a crystal glass with his knife, the sharp sound slicing to the nervous quiet. 200 of their closest friends and family turned to face him, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. "Before my beautiful wife, Catherine, makes a wish for her 40th birthday," Ethan began, his voice a chillingly steady baritone that carried across the room, "I have a special gift for her, a story of sorts." A nervous ripple went through the crowd. He locked eyes with Catherine, whose picture-perfect smile began to tremble at the edges. "It's a story about trust," he continued, "and the anatomy of a perfect betrayal. It starts with a routine medical exam, where a man discovers a deeply personal, congenital condition. He learns, after 12 years of marriage and 2 wonderful children, that he has been sterile since birth." A collective gasp sucked the air out of the room. Catherine's face, moment ago flushed with celebration, was now a ghostly white. "Ethan, what are you doing?" she whispered, her voice shaking with a rising panic. He ignored her plea, his movements deliberate and precise, like a surgeon making the first incision. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out 2 folded documents. Confused, this man begins his own quiet investigation. He held up the first paper. "This is a certified medical report confirming his sterility. And this," he said, brandishing the second document like a verdict, "is a DNA analysis confirming a 0% probability that he is the biological father of his 2 children." He let the papers drop onto the table in front of her, landing beside the perfectly frosted cake. "Happy birthday, Catherine. You wanted my fortune, and you built a family on a foundation of lies to get it. You have committed the most devastating fraud imaginable." He then turned his gaze to the stunned, silent faces of their guests. "The party's over. My name is James Smith. After witnessing how professional predators destroy innocent lives across America, I decided to fight back. This channel is a collection of thousands of real cases, hidden tactics, and voices of victims who were silenced. I'm here to be your shield in the digital world. Because the best way to stop a scammer is to know their next move before they make it. Love is blind. Behind every sweet message is a bitter truth. Let's dive into the dark side of modern romance. To truly understand the depth of this devastation, you have to appreciate the life Dr. Ethan Caldwell had so meticulously built. He wasn't just a doctor. He was a titan in his field, one of the country's most celebrated cardiothoracic surgeons. His hands, instruments of precision and genius, had pulled hundreds of souls back from the brink. That level of dedication and brilliance had earned him a fortune, with an estate valued at over $5 million. He was the kind of man who seemed untouchable, a pillar of success and intellect. His life was a masterclass in achievement. He lived in a sprawling, glass-walled home with breathtaking city views, a testament to his hard-won success. But for Ethan, the real measure of his wealth wasn't in his bank account or the awards lining his office walls. It was his family. His wife, Catherine, was a charismatic, effervescent woman he'd met at Charity Gala 12 years earlier. She was a social anchor, the vibrant center of a world he was often too busy saving lives to navigate. She planned the parties, charmed the guests, and made their life look like a feature in a glossy magazine. She was perfect. And then there were the children. Noah, his 10-year-old son, and Olivia, his 8-year-old daughter. To the outside world, Ethan was more than just a provider. He was a deeply engaged, hands-on father. He was a man who would leave a grueling 12-hour surgery and still make it to coach Noah's soccer team. He never missed one of Olivia's ballet recitals, his tired eyes beaming with pride from the audience. He spent his weekends on the water, teaching them both how to sail, feeling the sun on his face and believing with every fiber of his being that this was his legacy. These were the 2 perfect little souls he believed he had brought into the world. He had the perfect career, the perfect wife, perfect children, a life so flawless it could have been scripted. But as we see so often on this channel, the most beautiful facades can hide the darkest secrets. The life he cherished, the very identity he held as a father, was all built on what he was about to discover was a perfectly constructed, multi-million-dollar lie. The drive home from a urologist's office was a silent film of horror. The world outside Ethan's car seemed to move in slow motion, distant and unreal. The diagnosis echoed in the sterile quiet of his luxury sedan. Congenital condition, sterile since birth. Sterile. The word was a foreign object, a piece of shrapnel lodged in his reality. How could he be sterile? He had a son and a daughter. His son, his daughter. The thought, once a source of profound joy, now twisted into a terrifying, invasive question mark. When he walked through his front door, the home he'd built felt alien. The framed family photos that lined the grand hallway seemed to mock him, their smiling faces a gallery of deception. Was any of it real? That night, at their polished mahogany dinner table, he watched Catherine recount a story to the children, her laughter echoing in the cavernous room. He searched her face, her every gesture, her flawless composure, desperate for a crack in the veneer. He found nothing. She was, as always, perfect. But the seed of doubt, once planted, grew into a suffocating paranoia. It was a poison that seeped into every memory, retroactively tainting 12 years of his life. He began to operate on his own past, dissecting it with a surgeon's cold precision. He remembered offhand comments he'd once dismissed. Catherine laughing at a family gathering and saying, "Olivia has my brother's eyes, doesn't she?" He hadn't thought a thing of it then. He replayed an argument from years ago when he'd playfully remarked that Noah looked nothing like him. Catherine's reaction had been shockingly swift and defensive, accusing him of being ridiculous. He'd felt guilty at the time and apologized. Now, it felt less like a defense and more like a cover-up. The suspicion became a chronic, low-grade fever, affecting his work, his sleep, his very ability to function. He knew he couldn't live in this shadowy world of uncertainty. He had to know the truth, even if it meant taking a scalpel to his own heart. The decision felt like a betrayal in itself, but the alternative, living a lie, being a willing participant in his own deception, was completely unbearable. With the cold detachment he normally reserved for the operating room, Ethan began the sickening process of gathering evidence. This wasn't a sterile procedure. It was sickeningly intimate. A few strands of hair from Olivia's brush, shimmering under the bathroom light. A used toothbrush from Noah's bathroom, still damp. His hands, the same hands that could restart a human heart, trembled as he sealed the samples in separate biohazard bags. A stark, horrifying contrast to the rock-steady surgeon the world knew. He overnighted the samples to a certified lab, his own heart pounding with a toxic cocktail of terror and a desperate need for answers. Then came the agonizing wait. Every day was a performance, a grueling battle to act normal for the children he adored. Children whose laughter now sounded like a question he was terrified to answer. The email arrived a week later, landing in his inbox with digital finality. The subject line was clinical, devoid of emotion. Paternity test results for Ethan Caldwell. For a long time, he just stared at it, his cursor hovering over the message like a hesitant finger on a trigger. This was it, the moment where his life would either snap back into place or shatter into a million irreparable pieces. Taking a deep, shuddering breath, he clicked it open. He scanned past the scientific jargon, his eyes hunting for the one piece of information that would define everything that came after. He found it at the bottom of the page, a simple, brutal conclusion. Probability of paternity, 0%. He read it again, and again. The number didn't change. 0, not for Noah, not for Olivia. It wasn't a mistake. It was a verdict. The floor seemed to drop out from under him. The air sucked from his lungs. The profound shock was a physical blow, leaving him gasping. His entire identity as a father, the love he felt, the future he envisioned, it was all an illusion, a complete and utter fraud. The shock quickly metastasized into a cold, surgical rage. This wasn't a simple affair. This was a calculated, long-term deception. This was fraud on a scale that was almost incomprehensible. This was a heist where the prize wasn't just his money, but his entire life, his legacy. His initial impulse was to confront her, to unleash a storm of fury in the heart of their beautiful, deceitful home. But his methodical, analytical mind took over. No, he wouldn't give her the satisfaction of a private meltdown. A predator like this didn't deserve a quiet exit. He would expose a lie with the same precision he used to save lives, but this time he would be excising a cancer from his own. Catherine's 40th birthday party was just 2 weeks away. She'd been planning it for months. A lavish, ostentatious affair for everyone who had witnessed their perfect life. It was a stage she had built for herself. Ethan decided it was a perfect stage to bring the whole production crashing down. The implosion at the party was instantaneous and absolute. Catherine's choked sob quickly morphed into furious, incoherent denials, but the evidence laid bare on the table was irrefutable. Friends and family, who had been celebrating with her moments before, simply melted away, their faces a gallery of pity, disgust, and horror. They left Ethan and Catherine alone in the wreckage of their life, surrounded by champagne flutes and the ghost of a 12-year lie. The days that followed were a blur of legal meetings. Ethan's lawyer laid out the grim landscape. Because the children were born during the marriage, the law operates on a presumption of paternity. Fighting it, even with definitive DNA proof, would be an arduous, uphill battle. Courts are designed to prioritize the children's stability, often at the expense of the biological truth. Worse, he was told that recovering the millions he had spent raising children who were not his was almost impossible. The law views those funds as money spent for the child's upbringing, and courts are profoundly reluctant to order it reimbursed. But Ethan was a fighter. He had spent his life battling impossible odds. He filed to legally disestablish paternity, a crucial step to sever all future financial obligations. Simultaneously, he initiated divorce proceedings. His legal team, fueled by his cold determination, launched a forensic investigation into Catherine's past. What they uncovered was chilling. This wasn't a lapse in judgment or a simple affair. It was a meticulously planned scheme. Catherine had a history, a pattern of targeting wealthy, established men. They found evidence that she had researched Ethan for nearly a year before their coincidental meeting at the gala. She knew he was approaching an age where he wanted to build a family, and she had exploited that very human desire to execute a multi-million-dollar heist disguised as a marriage. The legal battle was brutal and emotionally draining, but in the end, Ethan's evidence of calculated fraud was too overwhelming to ignore. He successfully disestablished paternity, which terminated his financial responsibility for the children moving forward. While he couldn't get back the years of money already spent, the proof of her elaborate deception heavily influenced the divorce settlement, allowing him to protect the majority of his remaining fortune. Catherine was left with a tiny fraction of what she had schemed for, her reputation shattered and her network of wealthy marks gone forever. Dr. Ethan Caldwell's world had been broken, but he slowly began the process of rebuilding. The sprawling house felt impossibly empty, and the silence was a constant reminder of the family he thought he had. The love he felt for the children, a love that was very real to him, regardless of biology, was now a source of deep and complicated grief. He had been the victim of an elaborate trap, a devastating emotional and financial betrayal that took his family and nearly his entire fortune against his will. The scars of that deception will remain forever, a painful reminder that the deepest betrayals are often delivered with a loving smile by the people we trust the most. This case is a harrowing look at how intimate relationships can be weaponized for financial gain. The trust you place in someone online or even in person can be part of a long-term, devastating plan. To stay protected from predators who operate behind a mask of affection, subscribe to the Romance Scam Podcast. Knowledge is your best defense.